Welcome to Roots and Resilience. We have been moved by listening to the stories of wonderful people we have crossed paths with.
We have been inspired by their resilience throughout their personal and professional journeys and feel there are powerful lessons we can all learn from this.
I'm Tejal, and alongside my sister and co-host Nehal, we hope you enjoy listening to this episode. So we're really excited today to have Dr. Nizar Hammodeh with us. Dr. Nizar Hammodeh is somebody we had the pleasure of working alongside during our time in a hospital post. He is a senior oral surgeon, does very complex surgical work in hospital and in practice, including implant work. We have learned a lot from him. He has been a mentor to us, now a friend, and we're really privileged to have him with us and join us. And he's got an amazing story, so amazing that I actually had to pivot my initial idea for this podcast so that we could include it. I feel like everyone needs to hear it. So without further ado, Nizar, welcome to Roots and Resilience.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Tejal, and thanks, Nehal. Thank you very much for having me as a guest in your podcast. It was always a pleasure to talk to you and see you again after a while. And thank you very much for this for getting me on this podcast.
So tell us, Nizar, where did it all begin?
Basically, just to give you a little bit brief, I was born in Damascus, Syria, and I'm the oldest of four brothers, no sisters, unfortunately, for my mom mainly. The poor woman, she had to cope with five boys in the family. Yes, but I'm the eldest, so I was good at school, I have to say. I mean, I think actually I was good at school. Towards the end, we have in Damascus in Syria, we have the equivalent of A level in the UK here is called baccalaureate system. So towards the end, 16, 17 year old, I don't think actually I did as well as I could have. I was maybe distracted with other things. And I didn't do that much in the first, it's only 1 year exam, this exam. You just do an exam at the end of the year, and then that will determine what university or what college you want to go to. To be honest, actually, I didn't have anything in mind at that time. I was just doing to get to the best I could, and then, but I haven't got anything in mind. So I didn't do that well. And then me and my father. My father is a farmer. He has a big land near Damascus, about 15 miles from Damascus. And in the summer, we all go there, and like he builds a villa like and with swimming pool and all this. So we always spend the summer over there. So I always have a bit of connection to the land and my dad's job. Then he sat with me. He said, "Look, what did you think about agriculture engineering?" And I said, he said, "Look, we've got this big land, and I need somebody to help me. And then, if you get maybe new ideas in and so on, we could maybe grow the business and so on." I thought, okay, that's good. So I applied actually to agriculture because that did not need to be, kind of, let's say, 1A and 2Bs would be all right to get into that, the equivalent of this. For some reason, I did not get in. And then we sat down and said, "But what are you going to do?" He said, then my dad again, he sat down with me. He said, "Look, I know that you didn't do well in your baccalaureate. And then I think actually if you have another go, because you could redo. If you have another go, you could do much better, and then you could maybe go to engineering, agriculture, or agriculture engineering, or anything else. Think about. I did not like this idea at the beginning, but then I thought about it. I think he's got a point. At the beginning it was like all my friends. How would I, do it by myself again and read all these books again? And they're really tough because you do the whole thing. It's just in 1 year. Big, thick physics books and math books and all this. But anyway, I sat down and I listened, and I thought, yeah, that's a good point. So I sat down and I redid the baccalaureate, and then I get into dentistry. So the reason why they get into dentistry, I got really good grades afterwards. So let's say A star, A star, A, or something like this. So I thought, medicine or dentistry. I chose dentistry over medicine only because it's like a shorter pathway, and in Syria, if you want to do medicine and be good after, you have to go abroad and specialize. become specialist in let's say surgery or orthopedics, anything you want to do. We didn't really, me and the family didn't really like the idea of traveling abroad at that time. So dentistry is good. So anyway, and that's it. So I went into dentistry, and it was a big difference between dentistry and agriculture engineering. But you could
And did
see
you?
actually how much sometimes fate is made for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you're right, Nizar. It's amazing how you might think you're going to start out doing one thing, but actually you end up doing something very different. And did you have any dentists or medics in your family or anyone that worked in healthcare?
I had the only person who worked in healthcare was my uncle, my dad's brother, elder brother. He was a general surgeon. He studied kind of in the 50s, if you like. He went to West Germany, used to be at the time, and then spent, specialized in general surgery and came back. So he was quite close to dad because he loved also, land and all this. So he had a piece of land and he had his own farm, if you like, little farm, mini farm. So he always actually we would see him quite a lot. So he always kind of asked me, so I don't know whether I get this kind of, healthcare career from him. Not that much, but it could be. But he's the only one actually who's in the family who is in the healthcare. Yes, he will have actually an important role in my life later, as I will tell you perhaps in a minute. Because what happened is that I went into dentistry, and obviously 5 years, near the end of it, I started actually to like more surgery kind of thing. I still don't know, but I like really surgery. I hated what do you call it, like prosthodontics or like dentures, and definitely not. Ortho, like 50-50. Surgery is, yeah, more up. So anyway, I finished dentistry, and then you have two options. Either you go into military service, you have to serve for 2 years in the military after this, or you go abroad. If you go abroad, then no matter, even if you come back after whatever, till the age of 50, you still have to do this. Like it's something paid back for the government. A lot of my friends went all to America afterwards. America in the 90s, if you imagine, it was the dream for everybody. It's the dreamland, and you go there and change your life and so on. So a lot of people actually from my group of friends, we were about 7, 8 guys together, and the majority of them actually went to America. I chose, so that was also in my plan as well. So I was going to go there with them, but then we have relatives in America, and they said, "Look, this military thing is going to haunt you all your life. Maybe it's going to make you not to come back home only because you don't want to do this military thing. Do it, and then go after to the way." I said 2 years. I said, "It doesn't matter, just do it." So I did military. So I went into that into military. So when I
So
went
what does
into it,
that what does that involve? Sorry to interrupt, Nizar. What does that involve, like the military service?
well, it involved actually a bit of tough 4 months, first of all. They call it a toughness course, or I don't know what they call it nowadays. So basically, they toughen you up a bit. They take you actually somewhere like remote, and then you start, living in tents and having, very minimal food, like one egg and one tin of, I don't know, hummus the whole day and something like that. Yeah, so it's very tough. Yeah. So you spend and then after this, after 4 months, then you go into places. So if you are a specialist, then you go into like a specialist dental service for military. But if you are a general dentist like myself, then you could go to any dental unit. Doesn't matter. It could be I was lucky enough actually to get into a surgical hospital at that time. I mean, it's a big hospital, but I went to the oral surgery department, or Max Fax department. Like. So then I was exposed even more to surgery during this kind of year and a half, if you like. And I really liked it. And then I thought this is exactly what I want to do. So during this time, I was in connection with my friends in America who went there, and I was like trying, and they sent me all the books that I need to prepare myself for exams and all this. And I was getting myself ready for this. Learning English as well was very important because all our studying in Syria and Damascus is in Arabic, including at uni. You study in Arabic, so English was just like a foreign language. You learn it by the side, a small tiny book. That's it. So I had to improve my English, obviously. So I was doing that in the meantime while I was going into this to this hospital. I have a lot of memories there and this because once I tried to run away from this tough tough course, if you like, and then I was caught and I was put in prison for 5 days.
Wow.
But I mean, not
Wow.
prison. I mean, like military prison kind of thing, like punishment thing. You know,
Detention, like
Yeah,
they shave your head they shave your head completely, and they send you to this place, and then you sit down so you don't do it again. So
you did do it again, did
I
you
mean, not
not?
run away, but run away in a way like just to go, like for example, have a proper shower at home because it was like about 2 hours from home. So I thought, you know what, I'll just escape for one night, and I'll just go home, have a shower, have a proper food, and then come back in the morning, first thing in the morning before anybody wakes up. So I thought I could do this, but I did not know that there is a lot of eyes around. So when I came first thing in the morning, the people were waiting for me. So come on, I was not just me actually. There was quite a few people as well. So we were all caught, and then we were all sent to this tough place.
so
Yeah.
looking back now, when you reflect on that experience that you had to go through, what do you think that taught you, that kind of helped you, or what lessons did you learn from there that helped you in your later adult life?
Well, to be honest, actually, I'm looking now at it. This 2 years, let's say, of military service, it's really toughen you up a little bit. I mean, what the government, what the maybe the state, maybe Syria is not the only country. A lot of countries they have this compulsory military
True.
service. It does the purpose that it's meant for, which is tough. But I mean, at that time, you don't feel it. You just hate it. You just you're a young boy, young man. You just want to explore the world. You just want that, and then you feel like everybody's just tying you up. You have to sit down and listen to all that. So it teaches you discipline. It teaches you to toughen up, teach you to be patient. And it just, yeah, and when you're there, you also meet a lot of other people because that place actually, a lot of people actually from around Syria, they come to this place as well. So you meet a lot of other people that you haven't met. So you kind of come outside of your comfort zone a bit, where it's like, you looked after by your family and all this. Yeah. This is because when I went to uni when I did the dentistry, I was at home, so I didn't go outside. So I was still living at home. So I didn't really see that much of outside home and just the group close friends that I had around me. So yeah, so it opened my eyes actually to what's going on in the rest of the world, if like the other side of the world. Yeah.
It's like quite an extreme. It's not even living out for university. It's a complete extreme, which is
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
amazing.
why initially I could not cope. So maybe that's what prompted me to say, "Oh, let me." But then after that, I just had, you know what? You just you just have to put your head down and just go on with it.
Yeah,
So
discipline.
that's yeah.
And what happened
So
after?
that's that. So after this, so that's my uncle, my great uncle actually comes into play. So during this time, I was preparing to go to America. So one day I was sitting with him. He came to visit us, and he said, "Oh, so what are you doing?" I said, "Look, I really would love surgery." Obviously, being a surgeon, and he said, in fact, actually, this is maybe beside the line. Just one advice that he told me actually. He said, "Look, if you want to be a surgeon." The one most important thing to learn or to do if you're a surgeon, you have to know your anatomy like you are walking inside it, like you are walking inside. If it is head and neck, imagine you are walking in the head and neck of your patient, and you know exactly where you're going. You know where to turn right, where to turn left, what is going to be ahead of you, what's going to be behind you. You have to imagine you are walking actually like going from uni to home or wherever you're going. You have to know it like the back of your hand. That is actually if you become a successful surgeon. I said, yeah, yeah, okay. Obviously, I was young at that time. I didn't then, but I saw it later, obviously, when I came to London and all this. So anyway, so he was telling me like, he said, look, I've got a guy who is an ENT surgeon who works. So my uncle, he has a hospital. He has his own hospital. So there is an ENT surgeon that comes and does his operations there. And he just came back recently from London, from the UK, and he is an ENT guy, but he's from Syria. So he finished his training and he came back. And he said to me, like he was in London, he was telling me about that in London, you could do maxillofacial treatment. In Syria, Max Fax, they don't do head and neck surgery. They just do, oral surgery and all this. It's ENT mainly that they do all the head and neck. So he said, like in the UK, some dental qualified people they do this. Obviously, not exactly that, but what he meant maybe is that I had to do medicine after and so on. But anyway, this is the point. So he said, "Why don't you meet this chap and let him talk to you about this?" So I met this chap, the ENT guy, And he said, oh yes, I have actually. I was working in a unit very close by to a really nice surgeon. His name was Henry, and he could, he's so lovely, and I'm sure he will welcome, people from abroad and so on. And he's a really good max surgeon, maxillofacial surgeon, blah, blah. Why don't you write to him? This is his address, that's where he works, and so on. Obviously, this is before the era of emails and WhatsApp and all this. So I had to write actually a handwritten letter at that time. So I wrote to him.
How did you manage the English? How was your English then when you were writing, or did you get help?
English, to be honest, actually writing and reading is not bad. It's actually practice. Speaking was a bit of an issue because you cannot practice that. But writing and reading, I have no problem with this. Relatively okay with that. So I wrote this letter, half a page. I am Nizar. I still remember. I'm a 26. I was 26 at that time. I'm a 26-year-old. I still remember the first sentence because I had to repeat it two, three times. Oh, it doesn't look nice. I throw it. Just write another one. And I wrote it, and I sent it to him, and I thought, you know what, he's not going to listen to me. Who is this? Is going to get a letter from? Maybe it may not get it even to him. It may get lost in the way or whatever. And to be honest, my heart is still in America with my friends because this is actually where everybody else, and this is where everybody wants to go. So I thought, you know what, let's just throw that. So surprisingly, 2 months later, got a reply back, another letter, but this typed letter, coming back from the UK. And with him, he wrote it. So he said, yes, you're more than welcome to come to the UK to Mount Vernon Hospital, and you could come and you could become, you could shadow me for a while. And then after this, you could get into a training through the SHO. You become an SHO, a senior house officer, called it, senior house officer, and then you could go through the training after this. And then I thought, oh my God, that one is surprisingly that he wrote back to me. He said, oh gosh, things are getting right, like serious. When something happening, but you don't want it to happen, because I thought that's it. If you did not reply, then it's not my fault. I did everything. I'm going to America. But he replied, and to be honest, actually, my dad and my family, they loved the idea of going to the UK because it's much closer than America. It's only 4 or 5 hours flight. And secondly, it's much, you don't have, in America, you have to redo 3 years of your undergrad training. That will cost maybe, I don't know, $70,000, $80,000 or something like this. So this, in the UK, you get into SHO and then you don't have to do all that training again. You can do exams, obviously, and stuff. So all in all, it to them it's more appealing, which is true actually. It is more, it makes sense to why would you go to America? But then you always feel like America is the bigger place and you have friends there and all that. I had that letter and I was reading it and I thought, what does he mean by senior house officer? I didn't understand this. I didn't understand the system. I don't know how the system works in America. That's another reason actually why I really didn't prefer London or the UK because I don't know how the system works in the UK. I don't know anybody in the UK. I don't know anything. I know the system very, very well in America. I know exactly, if I land there, I know exactly what I'm going to do the following day. Whereas in the UK, I don't know anything. So I started actually translating this letter into Arabic through this dictionary, this senior house officer. I thought, you know what? After talking to my dad, just go and see what it's look like and just see what happens. You're not losing much. I said, okay, fine. So here we go. So we're packing the bag and get everything. And then obviously my mom sitting there in the corner, she did not like this conversation at all, obviously, going anywhere. Don't forget, I chose to do dentistry only because I didn't want to go. And now look what I'm doing. So things are not actually going exactly how she wants. My mom being here at the son and at the doctor in the family and all this. None of my brothers went into medicine or dentistry, but yeah, so she was not happy. She was really upset. She was like, crying and all this. My dad was actually quite tough. He said to me and to me, look, this is your future. You have to go. Just go. Don't worry about it. Whatever we could support you with, we'll support you. Just don't just ask us for anything you want. This is £1,000 to start with. Just see what's going to happen and let us know. So my mom obviously packed my bag. It's the first time ever that I fly outside the country, especially by myself, especially in a place where I don't know anything about it. So she packed and then she started actually putting funny stuff in the handbag in the luggage things like what if you arrive, your flight is that time, you're going to arrive quite late, what's going to happen for dinner, how we're going to eat that night when you arrive. Let me put some food for you. Let me put some bread and some, something that would just keep you going just for the first night or the first morning until you find it. And my mind was completely, I didn't even think, but that's what she was thinking about. Obviously being a mum and all that.
Typical.
So she put
All mums are the same, aren't they?
they are. When you have a family, when you become a mum or dad, then things completely becomes different. You don't think about it this way until you become, married or something. But now I understand where she's coming from. Now maybe I will do the same for or not or maybe my wife. Anyway, so she packed all of this, and then we realized like, now what's going to happen when I arrive to Heathrow. So we start asking people around us. Anybody knows anybody in London, and like friends from the friends or family or cousins from a cousin or something. And then somebody told us about a guy who is the brother of my auntie's friend, something like this. And then they contact him and he said, yeah, yeah, no problems. I'll come and meet him in the Heathrow. I'll just take him to Mount Vernon Hospital. We have to Google that. Well, not Google, but we have to put it in the map and just find out where about this. Anyway, so here we go. So yeah, the whole family, maybe I don't know, 50 people, 100 people went to the airport to just to see me off and say goodbye and all of this. My mum, my obviously my brothers, my cousins, the whole everybody's. I still
You
remember
had a
that day. Actually, it
farewell
was the 2nd
party.
of September, 1999. I still remember the day exactly. Here we go. So I arrived in London. That Heathrow. This guy called Ala. He was waiting for me. He's a very nice guy. We're still very close friends. Picked me up and he said, "Okay, Mount Vernon Hospital. Off we go, all the way to Northwood. You know where Mount Vernon is." And then I landed in Mount Vernon. But I remember it was about maybe 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was quite dark and I came from a nice sunny country to a dark, cloudy, cold afternoon, and that was not, well, I mean, it was exciting that the fact that I arrived in a nice, lovely country. But then, anyway, so I arrived to the hospital. He brought me there, and then he's gone. And then I've got my large suitcase running around, and then I asked for the Max Lux department. Went there, and there was this lovely lady, the secretary. Her name was Debbie. She was very, very nice lady. So I said to her, "I am Nizar, but I spoke to Mr. Henry, Mr. Tua, his name is, and oh yes, yes, Nizar, you're here. Oh, you're more than welcome. Blah, blah, you're coming today. Yes, yes." Obviously, yeah, she knew about me. I said yes. What I said, she said, "Well, let me take you." So she took me to the accommodation for like a doctor's accommodation. So she got me actually a room in it's like a flat. It's like a floor, if you like, divided into bedrooms, and then you share the kitchen and the bathroom, 5 or 6. But there is only one room that is occupied by a lady who most of the time she was not there. So I was by myself in the whole thing, which is good. Perhaps I don't have people to share with me things. But then on the other hand, it was so like 5 o'clock, everybody gone home. The hospital is empty. And she said to me, she said, "Look, come tomorrow morning and then Mr. Chu will be there for you." I said, "Okay, fine." So I sat down in this room, opened this. Then I realized actually how important that loaf of bread that my mom did, because I've got nothing actually here. I don't know even where to go and find food in this place. So I had that and I ate it and for dinner. And then anyway, went to first thing in the morning. Speak very little English, really. I mean, I understand, but I cannot speak properly. And got Henry. Oh, Nizar, he got me actually. Give me a good hug. Yeah, welcome. Blah blah blah. This is our department. You'll be shadowing me everywhere you go. At that time, the consultants, are in the clinic, so they sit down, and then I was with him actually all the time, shadowing him. So I saw, and then I went to theater with him and all of this, and I started looking at this man. Oh my God! I mean, when I saw the first head and neck cancer operation, that blew me out. I said, "Oh my goodness! Look at what these people do." And obviously, this is not Max Fax don't do that back home in Syria. So that was really definitely I want to do. This. I want to do this job. So I was getting actually more and more interested, but you know what? I mean, the trouble is that in the evening there is nobody else. There's nobody at home. There's no telly. There's no phone. There's nothing. After 5 o'clock, when it's dark, you are just by yourself. You don't know who. There is nobody to talk to. So the first few weeks, they're really, really tough. Although I was enjoying what I'm seeing during the day in terms of, patients and treatments, all this. But, I was extremely homesick. And I thought, as I said, the weather was not helping. And then was really even more depressing is the difference, the huge difference in the price of let's say cost of living, if you like. So I asked people, where do you buy, your stuff? So they guided me to Northwood town, the village, and I went there, and there's only one supermarket, and I now realize that it was Waitrose. Well, that's only I did not know what is Waitrose, what is not Waitrose. So that's a supermarket, and I went there. Oh my goodness! When I looked at the prices, I said, "Oh, was that couple of like tomatoes like for 50p or something like that?" For 50p back home in Syria, so everything, because it's still fresh, everything is converted into your own currency. I said, "Well, that's a huge difference." Got a few things and get back home, and I thought this is not going to last me anything. This £1,000 that I have. So after a few weeks, I started to know this is. Then I realized what a senior house officer means,
So just to
how the
clarify,
system works.
Nizar, this position that you accepted in the UK, it was like it was unpaid, right? So you'd come
Yeah.
to shadow essentially to learn and see. You weren't getting paid when you didn't have a job as such at that time, at
No,
that
this
point.
is so what they accepted me as basically it's called. Then I realized it's called clinical attachment.
Right.
And a clinical attachment, obviously, it's honorary job. It's not coming to be paid. Usually it lasts for about maybe 2-3 months, and usually people after that time, because I've seen actually the majority. I mean, at that time, to be honest, actually the majority of senior house officers in Max Fax, 80%, 70%, we don't say 80%, were doctors from abroad, like myself. Things have changed now, but at that time there is not enough actually dental graduates to fill the posts. So the majority are people actually coming like myself. So after 3-4 months after that, you either find that this is actually too expensive, there's no hope, or maybe you don't do well, or the hospital doesn't like you, or you don't like them, or whatever. And then I know a lot of people actually either go back or they just change career altogether. They start working, I don't know, they open, I don't know, in a shop or somewhere, something completely different in a something else. Or perhaps then, if you're lucky enough and then you could carry on and until then you get into the system of through the senior house officer job. At that time, obviously, this SHO is appointed by the hospital. There's no deanery involved. So if the hospital wants to, the hospital employ their own senior house officers. It's only the registrars that they come through the proper training course. And again, when you are an SHO, you could stay 1, 2, 3, 4 years, as long as the hospital are happy with you and you're happy to carry on. So that's yeah. So basically, I was actually unpaid.
Yeah,
Um,
and you didn't know basically what that was going to lead to at the time. You were just doing this you took this on with a bit of a leap of faith and let's see what happens type thing. Um,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
What else? What other challenges did you have? So you had a bit the language in terms of getting comfortable or getting used to speaking English, which was new, adapting to the cost of living, but also being very, very homesick and lonely as anybody would. What helped you at that time?
Well, to be honest, actually, what helped? The only thing that helped me really, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I remember that I was so in a way of communicating with my parents or with my home. There is, as I said, no internet or WhatsApp at that time. So I used to go down to the telephone box, and I would just put £1, and that will last me maybe 40 seconds or something. Obviously, you're calling abroad. And I'll just say, hi, hello, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine, thank you very much. Yeah, is everything all right? Everything is right, goodbye. That's it. So you don't have a conversation, but then they could sense that I was happy. So I had a phone call with my parents a bit longer than usual. That lasted a bit 5 minutes, for example, something like this. And I told them, look, I don't like what I am. I really don't like this. London is so depressing. I'm just not going to carry on. I will just maybe stay here for another month or 2 months, and I'm just going go back, or maybe I'll just speak to my friends in America. I'll just go from here to America. And my dad was saying, look, just calm down, just don't worry, just wait for another few weeks to see how it goes. You're still fresh, you haven't seen anything yet, blah blah. I said, no, I don't like it. I don't like living with it. I like, as I said, the surgery, but I don't like the living. This is like, so depressing. I don't like it. Anyway, so that was actually, so then I remember actually a few, maybe, what, 3, 4 weeks later, I had a letter from my mum. So she wrote again, that was the way of communicating. So she wrote to me a handwritten letter saying to me, like, we're really missing you here, blah, blah, like you left a big gap in the family, you left me, blah, blah, blah. All these things, all this emotional, obviously, mums that were there. Obviously, she's being herself and she's expressing herself, but I did not like this at all. I mean, I was already on the verge of just giving the whole thing up and go back. So what I did, which I regret now, obviously, I wish I still had it. I just tore it to pieces and just throw it away. Because I don't want just to keep reading this. I just want to back again, maybe to, as I said, to the military service or maybe something. I decided that I need to toughen up a bit and just get on with it. That is not helping because for quite a few weeks I was just feeling not happy. So I tore that letter. I thought, okay, I'm not going to read any more of this, and I'm just going to hit the library. Answer to your question, Tejal, what kept me going? So I actually, Mount Vernon at that time had a really interesting library, especially the Max Facts section. It was quite rich. And they had this maxillofacial journal that used to come, is it every month, I think, or something like this? So you just sit down and just read it for two reasons. One is to keep me occupied. Two is to improve my English. Three is like really interesting. What I'm reading is interesting. Because I see it, because when I go to that, I will actually, because even Henry, the consultant, he used to tell me like, go and read about this. And because we're having this operation, he really looked after me. I have to say, he really kind of in terms of teaching, because we're having an operation about, let's say, parotid or Bimax or anything like this. So I go and read how they do it, and then come back and I see it live, and then I discuss that with him. So that was really
Would you
entertaining.
say Henry was one of your mentors then? Somebody.
Definitely, yes, yes. I have to say, actually, there is quite a few people that made the difference in my life. One is Henry. The other person, which I'll come to tell you in a minute, is Mr. Shurafa. You know Mr. Shurafa, guys, yes?
Yeah.
In your life, you have people that made difference. It was, let's say, my uncle and that ENT surgeon, big, huge difference. My dad and that conversation that I had with him in the evening when he convinced me to redo the baccalaureate. You get actually steps, if you like, in your life when just one situation or one conversation or just one thing, it changed your life completely. You'll be going somewhere and completely go the opposite
Yeah,
direction.
but that's
Uh,
also what's so amazing because you can see that in hindsight. And I also think the way that sometimes your emotions can really get the better of you in certain circumstances, and how you had to redirect that energy and hit the library. And it's really brave, and also really it just shows how determined you are, that you were like, let me refocus my energy and just get back on track, because sometimes you
yeah.
you have to set those boundaries for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, actually, now in hindsight, as I said, it might be actually it was quite tough few months, maybe 3, 4 months when I first came to this country. But then, I mean, even Henry and the team there was surprised how quick and speedy I was improving. My English was improving, only because there's nobody to talk to in my own language. So, like as I said, back home, you don't practice English, whereas here you are forced to practice English with everybody. So I actually improved. Within a few weeks, I was like, be able to discuss things with. Before that, I was like, I'm unable to say things, and sometimes I just keep quiet. But then I was able to discuss things, and I was like, talking all this. So that actually really did a really
That
good
was
thing
that
for
was
me.
actually a blessing then. There was nobody else staying with you in that accommodation
Exactly.
because you had no other option. But then it accelerated your progression because your
Absolutely.
language skills just, improved so quickly.
Yeah. And
So
so
then
what they did as well, I remember actually one of the doctors said, they said, you know what, the other thing is actually would really improve is if you listen to news
Uh-huh.
or the telly. I did not have telly, didn't have anything. So I spoke to this Ala, my friend. I said to him, look, I need to, do you know where I could buy telly from or something? He said, yeah, no problems. So again, he was a very nice guy. He got me a telly in his car. Teddies at that time they were like 1,000 kilograms, big teddy, not like these thin little screens, that we have at the moment. They're really big
Big
teddies. They're that
boxes.
big. Anyways, I remember actually me and him carrying this telly on the stairs and putting it that's very heavy. I mean, it was very old. I mean, so for like £50 or something like this. So I put that telly. So at least, to be honest, actually, at least there's something that there's somebody, some human pulse
Stimulation.
yeah, because it
Yeah.
was so lonely enough. Anyway, so that helped as well. So I was sitting there listening to the BBC all the time and all this. So that also helped quite a lot. And in fact, entertained me a little bit. So at least there's something that I feel that there is a noise in the in the flat. It's just
And
not
then
me.
in
me.
terms of the money side of things, did you have to find another job to fund yourself?
Yeah. So what happened basically, slowly, the money was deteriorating. So what happened is that then I learned the system and I learned how I could get an SHO. They said to me, if you want to get to an SHO, then you get paid. And then you become proper training. Then you could do because I was so eager to actually do things by hand.
Hmm.
The way to do that is that if you could pass your first FDS exam, the Prop 1, which is theoretical, not practical. I said, okay, that's fine. So what does that mean? I need to read some physiology books and anatomy books and all these basic books. So I got actually some books from people and sat down and I applied for the exam. To be honest, it was a bit of a gamble. It was only like about 3 months after I arrived, but I applied for that. It was about £300. Which is 30% of what of my of all my budget. But I thought, you know what, because you pay that, but then it'll get you into the system, and then you start to get to work for this. So I thought it's worth it. I did this, and then I did not know that the exam is very, very tough. So I prepared as much as I can, but I did not make it. So I failed. And that was really a hit, like you're climbing, you're getting better, 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 and then somebody hit you back and then bit you back again to the bottom of the stairs again. That's how I felt. So it was really, a bit of a drawback for me, big time, financially and kind of professionally, if you like. Professionally, a lot of doctors at the time, they said, look, you're not the first one, not going to be the last one. Everybody had to do this 2 or 3 times to pass. But for me, it was like, no, I don't have to do this 2 or 3 times to pass. I don't have money to do it again.
Was that the first
Um,
time you'd failed an exam then?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, I was like back in school and all this. I was quite good and all this. So I'm not much learned to fail so many
Yeah. So
times.
how did you deal with that?
It was really, yeah, it was really shocking. Not shocking, but it was really sad.
Yeah.
So I remember actually the following day, I went back to the department and I was really sad. So even Henry said to me, "What's wrong with you? What's happening?" I said, "I did not pass." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't pass the exam." And he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just go, let's go, let's go." He was so nice. And then he took me to, let's go and have like a lunch or something outside. So he took me outside in his nice posh car and all this. Yeah, so I mean, I have to say, I was so lucky with the people that I came across at that
Hmm.
time. Everybody was so nice and helpful. So slowly, I start to learn that it's not the end of the world. But then I have to start seriously thinking about money. Going back to what Nehal asked. So I realized that it's not the end of the world in terms of failing the exams, and this is the normal in the UK, not in the UK, but I mean in the training when you're doing tough training like max facts or what. At that time, exams were really tough.
Hmm.
That FDS exam is a very, very tough exam. I accepted this. So then I start applying to get into an SHO just outside, not just in this unit, Mount Vernon Hospital. I started applying anywhere in the UK, in England. So I sat down, I sorted out my CV somehow, and I started sending it everywhere. So I looked actually on the back of these journals. They have actually all the hospitals and all the units and all this. So I would send my CV to every unit, even if they're not asking for a job. I'll just send it. I say, look, I am so and so, and I'm looking for a job. Blah blah blah. If you have any opportunity, please let me know. And I send it. And then all of a sudden, actually, a few weeks later, I get a phone call from somebody, a really tough accent. And then I realized that this is in Liverpool, this is how they speak. So that it was a Liverpool thing. So I had this call. Yeah, but that time actually I had a mobile. So that 6 months later, I managed to get a mobile. So I have at least some way of communicating with people. So anyway, I had this phone call on this mobile. Only because they said to me, you need to put a phone number. If people want to call you on this application, they need to get to you. So you need to buy a phone. So went there and I bought a phone. I remember for £20. It used to be Orange at that time. I don't know whether it still exists now. The network. So I had this call from the Arrow Hospital, I think it's called, in Wirral, just off Liverpool. And anyway, this lady, she was very nice. She said to me, Mr. Woodward, I think his name is Wood or something like this, the consultant, read your application, your CV and everything, and he would love to have you. Can you come tomorrow to Liverpool and to meet him? So that was Thursday. So we'll be going there on Friday. And I said, yeah, no problems. I'll come. I said, yeah, I'll take the opportunity. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. I put that, oh, well, what did I say? How I didn't know where Liverpool in the map in the first place. I mean, how am I going to get to Liverpool? So I had to ask people and to know that I have to take the train or whatever and book a ticket and this and that. A lot of people helped me actually. So I get the train, went all the way to Liverpool, came out of the station, and then there's a lovely lady. I was just a piece of paper with the hospital address written, and I said, "Look, do you know where to go to this hospital? How to go to the hospital?" She said, "Oh, I'm actually going there. I'm taking my mom. Do you want to lift?" Oh my God, that's so nice. Seriously. And I'm telling
It's
you
all meant
what,
to be.
exactly. Now, we believe, I personally believe, and we believe as well in our culture, if you have the blessings of your mom and dad in your life, like God will make actually things will get actually people who will help you in your life. I was teaching my children as well. Like you have to make sure that always mom and dad are on your side, 100%. You never annoy them. You never especially if you're going somewhere, you're leaving them, you get that meal, something like that. You always have to be, you know, get the blessings of your parents. Definitely, this is actually your key for success in life, 100%. And I've experienced that myself firsthand,
Mm.
and I saw how much actually, without the help of all these people that I came across, I
Mm.
wouldn't be there. So it was only actually because of my mom and dad and their obviously prayers and their blessings and all that, my parents. So anyway, this woman took me to this hospital, went there, and I met this guy, and he seemed to be quite tough, and then I realized that he was in the military before or something. Anyway, so I sat down. He offered me to have 2 weeks as a locum SHO, and I was going to be paid £800, which is a huge, that's almost in 2 weeks the whole budget that I had. So that will definitely, this is by then we are like kind of May, June time, I came in September. So I said, yeah, no problem. So I sat down, I did all the paperwork. So I had to travel down to London, get my GDC registered before the GDC closes on Friday.
You had to do all of this in person at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So he gave me a piece of paper, said, go now straight away, off to London, straight to Wimbledon Street, to the GDC in person, and just tell them that you need to start because without GDC register, you cannot do anything. So you need to get there. So I rushed straight to Wimbledon Street, back from Liverpool, get this signed and the GDC paper, and then ready again to start on Monday.
And this was
So
your
went there on Monday. They gave
first paid job after what, 8-9 months
very
of being in
first
the
paid
country?
job. 2 weeks locum SHO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So I sat down there, and he looked after me and all this. Obviously, I did not know the system of that. They had system, what do you call it, like a technical system, like how they write their notes. It was on a computer at that time, and that was maybe one of the first few hospitals that do things on computer. It was all on paper and all this. Anyway, so I had to learn this. It was quite tough, and I didn't know anybody, and then I was just like, but it's quite tough. So, but then he said to me, don't worry, just go. And then I remember actually the first time he asked me, he said, okay, this lady's got swelling in the submandibular gland. Go and request an ultrasound for her. Ultrasound? How can I request ultrasound? I was running around and I said, like, guys, how do I request ultrasound here? But at least I could see the light out of it that, I'm going to get the money and all that. So anyway, towards the end, he said to me, look, you're really good. We really like you. Do you want to come back again here and do another locum for, it was SHOs there, they changed usually in August. Until August, you have a locum, and then in August, we'll give you like, a permanent, like a substantial job. And then I thought about it, and then I thought, like, I'm not sure actually. See, then I still remember Henry and remember Madden, and I've just settled down there and I started to make some friends and colleagues and all that. I don't start all over again. Wirral, I don't know whether you've been. It's like countryside, but it's like, again, there's nothing around it whatsoever. I mean, the nearest supermarket is like Asda. I remember it was like 2 miles away. And it's in the middle of nowhere. You're not like in a town where you're busy. You could get yourself. I said, you know what? I'm not going to start all over again. I remember actually those few weeks at Mount Vernon. I'm not going to start again. So I turned that down. He did not like this. He said, "Oh, I'm offering you something that a lot of people would wish that." I said, "Look, I'm really grateful, blah, 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 but I have commitment back in London, all this." At that time, I started to know Mr. Shurafa. I'll come to tell you about him. Mr. Shurafa, he is kind of, how do you put it, like a senior SHO. At that time, we did not have a registrar in the whole unit. The senior people were Khalid, he was like 2 years older than me, and Mo Shurafa, and then there's another staff grade who's left now. I started to become quite friends with him. He liked me, I liked him as well, and he used to take me with him, like when he does interesting like fraction mandibles and all that and all this. So I did not want to give this up because I thought, you know what, this is important as well. And you've already one step in your training and your connections, all that. Start in Liverpool again from people you don't know. Anyway, so I went
Can
back
I just say
to
actually one thing, Nizar, is if I'm thinking now, when we graduated, right, and say we had an opportunity somewhere abroad, and I know we're lucky we graduated in the UK, and our qualification has a good standing. But if we were told that we had to move countries, take up a clinical attachment post with no kind of sight of when that will convert to a paid job, and you're by yourself, you just don't know when you're going to start earning, or where your career is going to go, what it's going to look like absolutely all of this level of uncertainty. I kid you not, like so many dentists, I mean, I can't think of anyone that we studied with that who would be prepared to go through that level of uncertainty, because
hardship.
they'll be,
Yeah,
I think just if you just put that into context, as you're in your sort of mid-20s, I think if we were in a position where we were like, okay, you've got this amazing opportunity to enhance your career or your whatever, but you there really is no guarantee or any kind of indication of what it's going to look like on the other side of it, but hey, there's this opportunity, would you go for it? I think people will be like, you know what, I can earn a decent living doing what I'm doing, where I'm doing it. Why would I do that? Why would I go for that? And so I think it just takes a lot of bravery, courage, and to put yourself in that situation, because look, you got your first paid job after 8-9 months of being in a new place. Like that's like a long time, a very long time. Or even if you asked anybody who's qualified as a doctor or dentist, say, look, you've got a year, you'll get amazing experience, but you're not going to get paid for it. How many people would take that on? Like how many people
yeah,
would do that? I think
yeah,
what I'm trying to say is that I think you should be really, it takes a certain personality, certain level of determination, to
yeah,
be able to put yourself through something like that. Maybe that's why
And
your
also,
military stuff helped.
yeah, and also I think the fact that you went to the library looking at all the journals, you genuinely had a joy for what you were learning and seeing, Nizar.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
genuinely were interested, you wanted to learn, you spent those hours reading those journals, and it just shows that I think a huge part of something, along with your bravery and resilience, is also your passion for surgery.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
really,
yeah. I mean, I still, to be honest, actually, the other day when we moved house a few years ago, and I still found actually the books. I had a notebook with me all the time. I still have all my notes about, in the operations. When I go to theaters, I have my notebook. I was always writing something, about, or not during the operation, really can't, but after. We go out, and then even I'll have discussion with Henry and all this, and he'll say me, "What do you know why we made the cut this way? Do you know why that?" I said, "No." He said, "Because of that," and he just write this down straight away. You make a cut in this way because you want to avoid this type of thing. So I still have that notebook actually in my own writing.
wow. But also,
Yeah,
having worked with you, both Tejra and I, we can see the pride you take in your work. Like, I remember I placed a suture and you just looked at me like, Nahal, take that suture out, do it again, because it just wasn't to Nizar standard. And I did, and it forced me to become better at suturing. And you said to me, when you're on call at A&E, you do all the suturing, you put your hand up, you ask for all the suturing so you get better at it. And I remember that so well.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. Actually, yes. I always tell all dentists should do a 1 year in Max Fax before they go to practice, no matter what you want to do, because you could see the wider picture. Even nowadays, even let's say in the Middle East and all this stuff that's happening, you go there and you see people sometimes actually they I won't say they're joyful, but they just get on with life and they just talk and normal and all
It's
this.
grateful. It's a
I would say
gratitude.
if a fraction of what's happened to this guy, I mean, here people sometimes for little things say, "Oh, the first time I heard of the word depression was here when I came to this country. I've never heard of depression before. What is depression? There's nothing depression. If you don't like what's happening to you, go and change it. You don't
Mm.
get depressed. You know what I mean? Go and change, do something about it. I didn't like deal with it. but I don't get depressed. So the only thing, yeah. So as I said, actually, there's sometimes actually people would need actually to look at the wider picture and maybe going abroad or maybe going to, maybe some charity work or something will open people's eyes and see what's happening outside there. So yeah, so where are we now? So yeah, so anyway, so I came back here. So and then anyway, before the £800 I got the spent, and then by the summer I've started to run out of money again. There's no more locums. There's no more nothing. So again, I spoke to this Ala, my guy, and I said to him, look, what do you do? He said, look, a lot of guys come here. They just do little works, jobs here and there. I have somebody who runs like a hotel. They do all the laundry. He runs like a laundry, if you like, business, and they do all the laundry in the hotel. Do you want me to ask him if he got a vacancy? He said, yeah, fine. Just ask anything. I don't mind. So he asked him, he said, yeah, no problems. He could come in the evening after they collected all the laundry from the bedrooms, and he could wash it, dry it, put it together, and then leave it on the side for the morning shift to take it. That would be your job. I said, okay, fine, no problems. I'll tell you. Where is that? That's in a hotel in London. I remember near the Tate Gallery, somewhere like this. At that time we were working at Central Middlesex and Mount Vernon. So imagine actually the journey, and I cannot afford to take a tube or anything because that's like £2 or £3. That's too expensive. I'll have to take a bus, which was maybe, I don't remember, £1 for the whole day journey. I would leave my accommodation in Mount Vernon, go to the ward round at 7 o'clock in the morning at Central Middlesex, spend the day there, finish, go to that place in London, start the shift there by maybe 8, 9 o'clock. In spite of me not getting paid, I was really the first person to come to the ward round or to a clinic or something, and the last one to leave. This is how much I really was committed, if you like. And I am actually like this. I mean, I don't like to talk about myself, but I am. If I feel that I have something in me that I have to finish or I have to do, I'll do it perfectly. I will not leave it half done. That's how I am. Anyway, so I felt that I'm not going to leave before the operation is finished. I'm here until it's finished. It doesn't matter what. Anyway, so I finished the hospital, go to that place in London, have a little thing. They will pay me maybe, I think, what, I don't know, £3, £4 an hour, and then they will give me a night accommodation and a dinner. That was the deal. So I'll get there, have a dinner, sit down. I was sharing actually the accommodation with another, I still remember, big bloke. He was sharing the room with me. Oh, it was like snoring all night, and anyway, so I go there, start the shift at about 9 in the evening, start, washing all this laundry, drying it, folding it all, putting it in shelves, and then go to bed by about maybe, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, sleep for a few hours, get the bus, go all the way back to Central Middlesex from Central London by bus, well, different buses. I'll start again, whether Central Middlesex or Mount Vernon, whichever where the work is going to be. I did this for about 2 months, and then got paid maybe £500 or something, which was okay. It helped me going. And then in the meantime, Mr. Sharafa has shown me that how much I'm committed and I'm really good at this. He actually said to me, okay, let's sort out something here. So he went to the head of the department at that time, a lovely lady called Tony Davis. And anyways, he spoke to her. He said, look, we're expanding, we're getting really busy, and he said, we need another third. I said, sure, blah, blah, blah. And then after discussions and all of this and whatever, weeks and weeks, and then they approved it. And then she said, yeah, okay, fine. And then he came to me, he said, look, there's an SHO job happening now. You go and apply for it. I kind of felt that this is actually, he did all of this for me. So I got the job, the SHO job, and again, that's another step in my life. By that time, I'm almost maybe 10 months since I've been. This is now August, I think. I don't know for how long I was going to do this. I might maybe was planning to go home and then see what happens next, whether I'll come back or not come back. I don't know. I will have to re-evaluate everything else because I could not see any more, and I did not want to ask my parents for any more money. I could have actually, and I keep every time I have to say, yeah, they ask me, but I did not. Yeah, everything is okay. Everything okay. That's what my answer to them. I wouldn't want to. That is how sometimes I am feel like I am independent. I don't want to feel that I'm causing any pressure on them. So
Actually, it
that's
was
it. So
10 months in that you actually got a stable paid job.
yeah, yes.
Wow.
And the first thing I did when I got this job is I get myself a car because I had enough of waiting for buses and all of this. I was freezing, seriously. I had enough with the months, going on bus, and I knew all the buses of London by then, and I don't want to ride the buses anymore. So I get myself a car,
Wow.
and only then, my life started to have a path, if you like,
So what
and
were
then I
your
started to.
hopes at this point when you had secured your first job in the UK? Obviously a massive achievement at the time and a lifeline to give you a bit of sense of security. What was your pathway like in your mind? Did you want to go down max fax? Did you want to then just
Yes, so
all
basically, yes,
surgery?
straight after that, once I've started to get a bit of money out of this, I think actually I remember maybe 2, 3 months later, Mr. Sharapa was applying for medicine. He came to me and he said, "Look, I know you're very good in all this, and you know how much you are committed, and you should apply for medicine." I said, "What do you talk about applying? I'm not going to apply for it. I've just had my first, leave me alone. I just had my first salary. I'm not going to, because I was international student at the time, and I had to pay maybe 20 or 25,000 pounds a year if I want to do medicine. So to multiply that by four or maybe even five, so that's 100 grand at least to spend. I don't have that money definitely, and I'm not going to ask my parents for this money. And I said to him, look, I know maybe this is a good idea, but not for me at the moment. He said, look, I'm applying, just apply together and maybe we could go to the same school and all this. I said, okay, fine. I just applied just to, I thought, okay, well, let's just apply. So I did actually, I remember I sat down, I did actually all paperwork, it used to be and all this, and you write your, statement handwritten and all of that. Anyway, so we did all of this, and I applied. I did not get actually to the school where he got. He get into King's. I didn't get there, but I got an offer from Cambridge. And then I thought, oh God, things are getting serious. So I called them and I said, what's the situation? The first thing I asked, what's the fees? And they said it's about 25 or 28,000. I said, thank you very much. They said you need to do some exam, I think a mass exam or something before you get in all that. I said, look, I don't think I'm going to do this. So I decided not to do medicine at that time. So Mr. Shraff, went to do medicine. I carried on doing SHO. So I did SHO for about 2.5 years, like permanent one at Central Middlesex. And then after this, I went to Charing Cross. I did another year or year and a half, no more than a year, 18 months or maybe even 2 years at SHO as well. But at that time, SHO was let's say like an ST5 and ST6 now. This is the equivalent of this. I mean, I would do fraction mandibles
So
by
so
myself.
that's like like almost like a registrar level,
Yeah,
senior
the
registrar level.
SHOs back
Yes,
then, you
like
needed,
mid range registrar level. Yes,
yes,
that's
you
right.
do a lot more than the SHOs these days, or DCTs like we call them.
Yeah,
And I remember actually when we were working with you, you used to tell us, when you were in SHO, you would do this procedure, that procedure, and there'll be quite invasive surgical procedures you do by
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. That's right. Yes, you
Yeah.
do. You do tracheostomies, for example. You would do. Yeah, you could do fractured jaws. You could do submandibular glands. You could do
Mm.
these type of things by yourself when you are like an SHO. Yes, not like first year SHO, but then when you are like me, 2, 3 years on, you'll be expected to do this by yourself.
Yeah.
But then after that, so I got married in 2003, and then during this time you have to do my registration with the GDC was temporary registration. They give you temporary registration because you're working in the hospital. But then if you want to stay any longer than this, only for 4 or 5 years, then you have to do the exam, become permanent registration. So I had to do the equivalent exams. It used to be called ORE, I think. I don't know whether it still have the same name, or EQE or something like this. I can't remember. So I had to do this exam. So I did this exam, and it was actually a really tough exam at that time. I remember, and then I wasn't sure whether I would pass or not, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember actually the exam. It was my wife was pregnant, and towards the last few weeks of her pregnancy, when I was preparing for the exam, so she was a bit tired. I was a bit stressed, and all this. And then eventually, on the day when I got the result of the exam that I passed, actually is the day when Dana was born.
Oh,
Yes, it's exactly the same day. Yes. So luckily, yeah, I passed the exam and I become permanent. And then maybe a few months later, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to do this SHO anymore. I did not know exactly what I want to do. I was actually during that time maybe planning either, to go home, to go back home, or maybe to go do medicine or go to back to practice, dental practice, perhaps, or I have options. But I knew that I don't want to do SHO anymore. That's now, I've done this for about 4 years, and I don't want to do this anymore. So I said to the consultant at that time, Mr. Nasser, at Charing Cross, said, I'm not renewing my contract after this, and I'm leaving. He said, no, stay. Well, I said, no. So again, look at how things happen. Look at this story. So I left there and I didn't have really a job. And during that time, just a few months before, I was having like a part-time practice job. And I went there and don't forget, I haven't touched actually a drill for like maybe 7, 8 years, 6 5 6 years or something like this. So I started to do, and I remember actually I was doing a root canal treatment on an upper seven on a lady, young patient, and it was a nightmare. I really felt sorry for her. It was not good at all. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to do this. This job is not for me. I'm not going to do this anymore. So I don't know how I finished that. I told the principal, said, look, come back and carry this on, and finish it off. And to be honest, I'm not going to come back again. Nothing to do with you with the practice, but I don't want to do the general dentistry. And that was the last time I ever did any fitting or something like this in dentist. That was in 2004.
Nizar, so knowing what you know now from your journey, your 20 something years on, if you had to do it again, would you do anything differently?
Would I do something differently? You see, I'm not sure actually about the medicine thing, whether I could apply for. I mean, this is the only thing that I had maybe a choice, or maybe it could have maybe changed my life a little bit. Whether if I did medicine at the time
Hmm.
or not. To be honest, actually, it wasn't entirely my choice. So the comfort to me is that I genuinely could not have afforded at the time. It's not
Yeah.
like, I was a bit lazy or anything like this. No, I actually liked microfinance. I would love maybe to do it, but I couldn't afford it at the time. So therefore, I don't kind of beat myself up too much about it. That's in one hand. On the other hand, full respect to my consultant colleagues and all of this, but it's also, it's hard. It's a different pathway. The pathway that I chose, which is then I did a master's in implants, and then built my bit of practice. And I'm so much enjoying my implant work now and the oral surgery that I do at the hospital and all of this. I love it. I will not change what I'm doing now. Maybe.
But also now you're at a point in your career, you've been, you're almost so experienced in anything surgically related, like with implant work or with oral surgery or in the hospital. Like what drives you now going forwards? Like, because you're such a, curious personality. Like how do you keep yourself motivated within the profession?
Well, to be honest, actually, what keeps you motivating really is good relation with people. To have minimum amount of frictions with anybody. You just have to be friendly with everybody and just be nice with everyone, and everybody will be nice to you. And that's actually when you wake up every day and just go to work, whatever work is, whether hospital or practice or anywhere, where people they're happy to have you. They're happy to, you walk in the morning and they smile at your face and say, and the vice versa, and you as well. You kind of like to go there and see these people. But in terms of professionally, I'm constantly. I mean, I was just in a conference just few days ago, and all this. You have, especially with dental implants, but also with everything else, it's ever evolving, and you always have to keep up with what's going on. And now with social media, everything. I mean, I'm on so many groups of specialists and dentists and implantologists and all of this. And you go and you see these people putting all these cases, discussing cases and all that. That's really interesting. That keeps you going in terms of professionally. And in terms of family and life, obviously seeing your children growing, seeing them, that they are doing well and all this, that's really keep you going as well. And in terms of something else, I always believe that you are not, any of us, we're not actually born just to work hard and earn money and die. You have to leave something behind. You have to do something. So I always so much believe in charity work. So since this troubles in the Middle East and in Syria, particularly in the last maybe 15 years or so, I've so much heavily involved with charity work, medical charity. So that keeps me going as well, keeps me really busy. So that's keep me going as well. So yeah, so I don't like, this is my type, maybe 5%. I cannot stay still. If if there is like 2 hours I'm not doing anything, I say like something wrong, why am I not doing anything? That type of, so I always try to find something to do.
Yeah, oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing, Nizar. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey. It's so unique, so special, and
Thank you.
I
No
think
problems.
you need to give yourself credit for everything you've been through, how brave you've been, how strong you've been, and how much you've actually achieved. And I know when your children listen to this, they'll be so proud of their dad.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what I'm saying is that, you always, there are things are meant to be for you. And you always, sometimes, one thing that I learned in life, no matter how much things appear to be not very good at the moment, it seems to be, why did not happen? Why did I not pass this exam at that time? Why did not I get this visa to this country? Why did not do this? Why did not do that? But it's always for a reason. You may not see the reason immediately after, but just as they say, trust the process, and just don't worry, just keep going what you're doing, and you will get there one day. Something is meant to be for you.
That's a great message, Nizar. Trust the process. And it's so easy for us to be overwhelmed with emotions when things are not going your way. But there is always a blessing in disguise, and we just have to have faith that you'll see that at some point in the future.
Absolutely,
Thank you so
absolutely,
much for your
absolutely.
time, for joining us, for
No
sharing your
problems. Thank you
journey,
very much.
and
Thank you, Nizar.
take care.
We'll stay in touch. Yes.
Bye.
Well, bye.